Hello, everyone. Popping in here. And I see there might be one person here. I don't ever know if that number over there includes me. If it includes me, then I'm here by myself. Oh, there's two more popping in. I know Deb's gonna try to make it. She had to go do something this morning. Well, it's still morning to me. It's gonna be afternoon to her since she's on it about as opposite a side of the states as you can get. We're about as far away from each other as two people can get and still be within the continental United States. So yeah, if you're in Florida or even up in Maine, I think Florida would be the farthest because we're, kind of at the corner tip northwest corner of Washington state. So that's a ways away. But anyway, at least I got 4 people in. Maybe one of them's me. So by the way, if you're watching this in later on, the replay, and you're just wanting to come in for the topic, then I recommend going in about 10 minutes because I always come on 10 minutes early to give people time to kind of filter in, get their notifications and go, oh yeah, Heidi's on. And so that seems to work pretty good. And that way I have time to kind of chit chat about silly stuff. Well, it's not always silly, but just whatever. I see people talking. There's Holly and Sandra. Hello. Yay, we're getting voices. So anyway, I did have a few things I wanted to say before I get into the topics. And let's start off with, let's see, today, I finished dehydrating my first pint jar of lemon balm, trying to decide how. I still have a lot put up, but I'm going to start mixing some of the older stuff in with the chicken feed because lemon balm's good for chickens, but they won't really eat it, unless it's dehydrated and mixed in with their feed. So I do that with a lot of different herbs, mix it in with their feed. And I do like it sometimes for tea from the dried form. I prefer it, again, always prefer it best when it's fresh lemon balm and I make tea from it. But dried is okay, especially when I mix it with the dried orange mint. But again, the orange mint is also best when used fresh for teas. But anyway, I might go ahead and do another pint and then just put it all in one single quart jar, because you never know. Sometimes I change my mind and all of a sudden I go, gee, I really want some, middle of winter and lemon balm's not growing. I really want some lemon balm tea, and I can make it stronger too to get more flavor out of it. So, but yeah, fresh always has the best flavor when it comes specifically to the lemon balm and the orange mint. Thankfully, peppermint is good all the time, dried or fresh. So I did want to say, so the video that published this morning, I think some people thought it was a live I did this morning and that was a replay. No, that was from a live from like about 6 weeks ago. So that's why I was talking about, I think I said, I was listening to it today. I'm like, oh yeah, I said that as if, people are going to be watching this in 6 weeks going, this has been going on for a little while about the fuel prices and whatnot. But I was talking about the coffee grounds for the, to de-slickify the deck. And there was a couple of people like, aren't you worried about tracking coffee grounds in? And I'm kind of like, I guess wouldn't have thought to mention that because first of all, no matter what is out there, you're going to be tracking it in. Okay. If you're using salt, if you're using the de-icing crystals, you could be tracking that in. Somebody was talking about using wood ash, says that works really good. A great idea, totally free, but you'd be tracking that in too. So I think it's funny that some people and one person was a little bit rude about it. Like a little bit, not much. I mean, I could see their point, but it's like, I guess I don't think about that kind of stuff that much because we have dogs, right? Well, we have a dog because, Cody's been gone for a few months now, sadly. Still, I was just thinking about him again yesterday, missing him, and it gets muddy in our backyard because of the chickens. And I have boots and shoes by all the doors that I slip on. and I wear outside and then they come back off again because of mud and chicken poop and garden. Yeah. So my boots and shoes never get worn that are for outside do not get worn inside the house anyway. Plus, we have these things, these really cool things called doormats. We have them on the outside and they're also on the inside. So when you step in to take off your shoes, and so when the dogs run through the dog door across the doormat, that helps clean their feet off. So I guess I would have never thought of tracking coffee grounds in or salt or de-icer of any kind because doormats and removing shoes. I thought it was kind of funny that people were so. I'm like, why don't people use doormats anyway? I don't know. Maybe I'm just being a little bit silly. So I'm glad to see Deb made it. Good. Made it just in time. How late are you? You're not late at all. We don't officially start until 11. I just always come on a little bit early to give people time to filter in and then for me to talk about whatever I feel like talking about until it's time to actually start. Not that I don't feel like talking about the topics I set. It's just that people will come in like that one last week that that was watching it in replay. Just get to the blue, flipping point. They didn't actually type out the bad word. At least they used, oh my gosh, my brain just completely shut down. But the initials, right? Whatever it's called, it starts with an A, and all of a sudden my brain cannot grasp the word. I keep wanting to say acronym. It's not the word. But anyway, so a few more garden things I wanted to say. The 2 p.m. here. Oh yeah, sorry. I keep speaking in my. So 2 p.m. your time. Yeah. That's when I'd start because 11 p.m. 11 a.m. excuse me, my time. No, not anagram. Not acronym. Oh, come on, you guys know the word. It's an easy word. We use it all the time. Anyway, people. So, okay, Jace helped me plant some more potatoes. The last of the potatoes I was going to plant, unless I decide to, not asterisk. The word you use to talk about when you've got letters that represent whole sentences sometimes, or even things like Mrs., Miss, Mr. Those aren't the whole words. Or etc. for et cetera. Those words. Abbreviation. Thank you. Thank you. My brain just went, nope, not having that word today. It's like, okay, thank you for making me look like a moron. So anyway, it was kind of fun. I told his mom, make sure you bring his rubber boots because we're going to go plant some potatoes. And so she did, and he loved just being out there. He was trying to figure out what the heck are we doing here. I was digging a hole. It's like, put the potato in. So he just took a potato and threw it. I'm like, no, you got to put it in the hole. But then once he figured out what we were doing, he loved that. He had a good time. And we hung out there, and some of the stuff he couldn't reach to do, like I was planting some, putting some more seed in a couple of pots in the greenhouse that are up on a shelf. And because of my back, it's getting better, by the way. I didn't want to try to lift anything down for him to reach and then put it back up and risk pulling something again. I'm just being very, very careful with it because I really want it to completely heal. So we planted some more zucchini because I was afraid the one zucchini I planted wasn't going to come up, but now it looks like it's coming up because we've had a couple of really nice days. So I'm like, oh, I didn't need to do that. And now I'm not going to know which zucchini is which. Great. Because the seed was old from seed I'd saved from an Italian zucchini, which I really like. It's the one with the stripes. And then, but I always grow the black beauties because they always do really great here. And then the coconut squash so last year, was it in the fall or something? a Misfits market had this coconut squash. I'd never tried it. Some people pronounce it koji nut or kogi nut. I've heard it pronounced a billion different ways, but coconut is the most common one. It sounds kind of like coconut, but it's shaped kind of like this. Uh, Not quite butternut squash because butternut squash is taller than that. It's kind of short and squatty, but it has a little bit of that pear shape. And anyway, so I thought I'd try it. Really liked it. It tastes more like pumpkin. It's got the orange flesh like pumpkin or even acorn squash or something. Well, I wouldn't say acorn squash was exactly orange, but it's sort of gold. And it was a good flavor. I think it would taste great to make a pumpkin pie with. So I thought I should try these and see how well they do, see if they grow better. Well, those started popping up long before the pumpkins. And the pumpkins are coming up now too, the pie pumpkins. But everything's popping up so far, but the corn was one of the last things I started, so it's not popping up yet. But I did get it started. A lot of this stuff I'll start in the greenhouse. Oh, and then the other one that's a new one for me to try. I don't know if you guys have heard of this. I think I told you this before, but they're called a green apple cucumber. So they're a little round cucumber, kind of like, I don't know if they get as big as a lemon cucumber, but they're going to be green. It looks like they're the color of a green apple, like a Granny Smith, but I have no idea how big they get. I'm kind of hoping they're a little bit smaller than the lemon. I just think it'd probably be easier to chop up and eat and all that. And for some reason, I just have this feeling they might have a good flavor, but we'll see. We're trying those this year. My senior group just had a great speaker on brain health and memory. Are you trying to tell me something? uh, yeah, isn't that funny how when somebody forgets a word, when that happens to someone, the two of you are talking and the other person forgets a word, then all of a sudden you can't think of that word either. You know what they mean. It's like yawning or something. It's like it's catchy. So it's kind of funny. So let's see what else. Oh, started some sunflowers too. What else did I do? I think I said cilantro. I got some cilantro started. Transplanted some of my tomatoes, some of the beefsteaks so far. Yesterday and this morning, my snow peas are popping up all over the place. Well, not all over the place, just where I planted them. But there's a lot coming up, so that's good. And then there's, the herbs are starting to go crazy, all my perennials. And like I said, I got some lemon balm. I'll probably go ahead and put up some more. Lemon balm is one of the first ones. It just goes ballistic. One of the things I really like about that is I get so much of it that there's just no way I can use it all. So I cut a lot of it through the season and throw it in the chicken coop and mix it in there with the bedding because it will help keep pests out, but it just makes it smell nicer and fresher in there. And then I'll also even more so make sure it goes into the nesting boxes because, again, and not only does it help keep it fresh and smelling nice, it will help resist pets, mites and what are those called? Feather mites? Is that those the ones that my chickens had? They've gotten them a couple times. They didn't get them this year so far, so that's good. But it was like, what is this? The first time I saw them, like, what is this? They're like, if you've never seen them, they make these little, I don't know how to describe it. They're these little hard gray clusters at the base of every feather, and you can't just pull them off without yanking the whole feather out. And even once you get rid of the feather mites, I think they're feather mites, not feather lice. You can kill them off, but those things will stay there until they molt and lose those feathers because they're like concrete. They look like concrete. They look like just little mounds of concrete at the base of every feather. And then the chickens will peck and peck and peck and pull their own feathers out. That's how I noticed it at first was my chickens that year were getting like these little bald spots. It usually starts around the backside. And yeah, it's yes, my friend and I were coming up with sentences that incorporated words we're forgetting. It's funny. See, Deb says, I'm trying a new squash Italian called, okay, let me put my glasses on. Tromboncino. Tromboncino, I'm guessing is how it's pronounced. It starts yellow when it's small, but it's supposed to mature to an orange squash. Huh. I'm excited about them. Sounds interesting. Never heard of them. Yeah, the one that I had was something striata. Striata just mean obviously stripes or striations because, yeah. So thank you again, Joni. Really, really appreciate you doing that. It means a lot that you do that. I know not everybody can, but and I don't expect it. I certainly don't expect it, but I do appreciate it. So thank you. Was there anything else gardening? I'm sure there's more, but my cilantro is popping up. So I planted the cilantro. I think I told you about my little chick protector, from the rain and also from on days like today if they need a shady spot, and the whole rest of their little enclosure, outdoor enclosure is filled up with sun. They have a place to get away from the sun or get away from the rain. So I kind of created this with a plastic folding table and then a tarp, and it actually looks decent. Well, on top of the tarp is just to help protect the table and also allow a little more area where it will stay dry. And so I put 3 of those long pots. 2 of them I put lettuce seed in, and one of them I put cilantro in. The lettuce has not even started coming up. The cilantro is starting to pop up, which is wonderful. But anyway, those pots also help hold the tarp in place if it gets windy. But I think I figured out what happened, why the lettuce hasn't. The lettuce should have come up first. And there's little tiny bird turds all through there. So I'm thinking the little birds probably ate all my lettuce seed. They left cilantro alone, but ate all my lettuce seed, little jerks. So they eat a lot of the chicken feed too, which drives me bananas. Anyway, so at least it looks like I'll have cilantro. I may have to start again with the lettuce and just do it somewhere else. So still too cold to direct seed much here. Yeah, I don't do a lot of the only thing I direct seed that early. Well, is the snow peas because they like cold anyway. So I get them started fairly early. You could get them started in February here, except for the heavy rains tend to waterlog the seed and then they won't grow. So you have to wait till it's not quite as wet to get them started. And the massive early spring rainfalls have slowed down at least. But other than that, you could start them in February, and then everything else gets started in pots. So anything other than the potatoes that I've planted so far has all been started in pots in the greenhouse or even in a place where it can stay a little more protected from the cold. So that tends to work out pretty good. And then those things get transferred, like my calendula, I also start in the greenhouse because it doesn't do well if you try to start it. Sometimes it will. And this is the same reason why the seed that falls from the calendula, I don't get plants from those because it stays too cold for too long. So I start those in the greenhouse. I start the corn, the sunflowers, and what else? Oh, all the squash, the zucchini, the cucumbers, all that starts in the greenhouse. And then sometime next month I'll start moving them out because it will start getting warm enough for them to be able to handle it. Anyway, oh gosh, I'm sorry I talked too long. So people watching this in replay are going to be mad because they'll go in 10 minutes and realize she's still talking about garden stuff. So I'm 9 minutes late, 10 minutes late. Sorry about getting into the topic. I get to reading the comments and responding and yeah. So anyway, let me do my greeting so that I have it from other videos. So hello everyone, Heidi here from Rain Country. God is good all the time. And by the way, if you're new, whenever I shoot these lives, just like the show that published on my other channel, my main channel, was a live from 6 weeks ago. What I do is as soon as it's available for me to download, I download it. I might even split it into 2 different videos, edit those, and make separate standalone videos where I can add clips and photos and cut all the unnecessary talk and put them make their own little a more abbreviated version of the video for those who appreciate that more than a long drawn out show like this. So anyway, today it's about this is another one that's going to go in my watching AI video so you don't have to because it was an AI video, but it sounded like a fun one and some of you already know because of the title, but I already talked a little bit about it last week. So it is the side dishes from the 1970s. A lot of them that have probably been forgotten. A lot of them I've either forgotten about or actually don't remember or never heard of. So some of these I remember quite well and loved them and still do. And so it was kind of a fun thing to watch that and take notes because I'm like, oh man, there's some great ideas. However, here's the problem with a lot of these kind of some of these dishes that were made then is they used a lot of things like canned soups and Cool Whip. Those are easy because you can make your own. Use real whipping cream or whipped cream or real whipping cream that you then whip up to a whipped cream. Then you can make these things. And of course, I'll cover that. Or make your own cream base soup or sauce that so you don't have to buy cream of mushroom soup or cream of celery soup. These are very, very easy to make. And anyway, so think of those as substitutes. Now, there's a few things I'm not sure what you would use as a substitute, but I'll get to that. So, starting off with the 3-bean salad. Oh my goodness, I love 3-bean salad. And it's funny because that this was on the list because I think I'd already had the list made up. And then we had a little potluck with our group, with our fellowship group on Saturdays. Usually once a month we have some kind of potluck. And somebody brought a 3-bean salad, but I think they had more than just 3 beans. Usually you also add like, onions and whatever else. And it has more of an Italian dressing typically or a vinegar and something. So, and like with any of these ideas, everybody has their own version of it. And you can look each one of these up online. And the fun thing is when I edit this video, I'll be able to add in pictures that I'll collect. But anyway, that's a really good one and a nice healthy one. And yeah, you can make your own dressing for that. You don't have to buy a dressing. It'd be so super simple. And by the way, anyone who's watching this either in the live or watching this in replay or even watching the edited version, put in some of your ideas, whether it be for these dishes or dishes that you remember from the 70s that either you still make or you haven't had since the 70s. It's always good to have great ideas, but 27. Oh, here's the funny thing about this. The AI video said 25, but there was actually 27 in there. That's another one of those things I notice a lot about these AI videos. They'll give a number, but then the number they actually have in the video doesn't match. There's either more or less. So the video was 25 dishes, but yeah, there was 27. So number 2 on here is Waldorf salad. Haven't had that in forever. So a lot of you probably remember this. I remember it being kind of a sweet and savory thing with mostly apple, celery, and mayonnaise. I'm sure some people do it with Miracle Whip. Ugh, yuck. I'm sorry. I'm just not a fan. I know some people are total opposite. Just the idea of mayonnaise just grosses them out. I've always been a mayonnaise person. But yeah, I just remember apples being the main ingredient. So I'm still on here, right? I'm asking because I don't expect people to chat the whole time, but I thought I saw a flash out of the corner of my eye, which is usually never a good thing. So if someone could just raise their hand or something. Okay, good. Just to make sure, just so I know, I don't need to start my backup show. Okay, thank you. Okay, number 3. This was one of my favorites. I've never made this one, and that is the Watergate salad, also known as pistachio fruit salad. Oh my goodness, that's one of my favorites. So that one would be like a fruit salad with, I think people usually put in marshmallows and Cool Whip or whipped cream, the real stuff. And this was the one I'm like, what would you do as a replacement for the instant Jello pudding? If anybody has any ideas, please put them in there. Because I've thought about this. I'm like, man, I love pistachio salad or Watergate salad. I didn't even know till I was going through this list that it was called Watergate salad. I don't even think I knew what it was called. I just every time somebody would bring it to a potluck, I'm like, yes, or some kind of family dinner. Oh, but anyway, I'm wondering what could you do different to be able to get that flavor? I mean, I know you could add pistachios, but I would love yeah, very active grandbabies right now. Anyway, I'd love some ideas on that because instant Jello pudding, yeah, yeah, no. There's just so much garbage in that stuff now. I mean, probably always was. I used to use instant Jello pudding, but then I started looking at more healthy ways to do things, and I haven't had instant pudding like that in forever. Let's see, another one that would be very closely related and another one I love because they're very similar is the ambrosia. Oh my goodness, I love ambrosia. So very similar, you got your fruit, your marshmallows, your whipped cream instead of Cool Whip and nuts. And same thing with the Watergate or is it Watergate or Waldorf? Well, probably any of these people might add walnuts or pecans or something like that too. Would freeze-dried fruit powder work to make that pistachio flavor? I don't think so because pistachio is a nut. I mean, I could see grinding up or, chopping up pistachios and throwing them in there, but how else would you get that flavor? I'm almost wondering if like an almond extract, like if you made an almond extract, which is typically made from bitter almond or even peach pits. No, it's not going to kill you. Good gravy. But I mean, we think about it, that's what, like, if you were to buy a natural almond extract at the store, natural, not artificial, not imitation, it's made with, either bitter almond or peach pits or apricot pits because that's where you get a much stronger almond flavor than you do from the almonds themselves. So, anyway, see, and what I don't even know what is in Miracle Whip to give it that flavor. And, I know it's tangy, but I always wonder what it's made out of. Is it basically mayonnaise with just a tang added to it? I don't know. I've just never liked it. So, and it's not that I don't like tang. I do, but on some things, not everything. That something about the store bought Miracle Whip anyway. I always thought was just nasty. And it wasn't really the tang. It was just the whole thing. It was like sweet and I don't know. I hated it. So you can make pistachio pudding at home. I guess I can look that up. I wanna know how you get that flavor because it almost seems like it has a bit of an almond flavor to it as well. That's why I was thinking like a homemade almond extract that you could use in there, or even if just buying a natural almond flavored extract that's probably made with apricot, peach, or bitter almond seed because they're all very, very close related. Very closely related. If you ever looked at almond fruit, it looks like a green peach, basically. But I don't think the fruit is really ever used because I think I'm assuming the fruit of the almond just I think it's very thin and it doesn't have much flavor, or it has a terrible flavor. I don't know. Okay, so another one, stuffed celery. Now I remember this kind of stuff. I especially, as a kid, you remember like celery with um, peanut butter. That loved that, but there was more that people would do. They'd make it a little fancier, like use cream cheese, olives, pimento. Oh, that was another thing about the AI. They would say pimiento, not unless I'm remembering it wrong. I'm thinking that sounds wrong. I'm pretty sure it's pimento. I don't think there's that many um, you know, there I go again. There it goes again. that many syllables in the word, but maybe I'm wrong. Maybe the AI was right on that one. But anyway, so there's that. Another one is a rice-a-roni pilaf. So you'll notice a lot of these 70s dishes. This is when a lot of the instant, stuff really started taking off. I think canned soup was around for a long time, but like rice-a-roni or the what's that cornbread? My mom always got that. She loved that Jiffy cornbread. It's not that much more difficult just to make it from scratch. My goodness. And so the cool thing about the rice-a-roni pilaf, I always liked rice-a-roni as a kid, but then as an adult, that's where Amy Decision's book, and I'm like, oh, she's got a recipe for a rice-a-roni where you can make it from scratch. And I've made it ever since, and I change it up every time. And it's easy. You don't have to buy a box mix to do it. So yeah, you can make your own rice-a-roni. I have several videos on this because I accidentally did 3, not realizing I already had 2 others out there. That's what happens when you've been on YouTube making videos for so many years. You're like, "Oh, I already did a video on this." People are probably getting tired of seeing the same video. It's because it's one of our favorites, the homemade rice-a-roni. Um, Justin was the one, I'm pretty sure I shared this story before, what he's my youngest, and he was the pickier eater of my 2 boys, but he was usually it was a lot of times it was a visual thing for him. If he didn't like the look of something, he wasn't gonna touch it, and he thought it looked gross. "I'm not gonna eat it," and I'm like, "Well, you're not leaving the table until you at least take a bite." And I knew he would love it because it had meat in it, and that was his favorite thing was meat, any kind of meat, and it still is to this day, and he's 31 now. And he's like 3 years old, and he's like, and then I just said, "Well, you have to at least take a bite because you're not gonna leave the table without at least tasting it." And then I ignored him and just started talking to Pat because Pat was directly across the table from me. And but watch him out of the corner of my eye, I seen him take a bite, and then he perked up and he looked at me, and I just kept ignoring him because I figured if I gave him too much attention, like, "Oh, you like it, don't you?" Then he'd be like, he ate it all. He loved it. And now it was like, this favorite, one of his favorite dishes, that and coal cannon, because he loves mashed potatoes, and especially if I add meat to the coal cannon. So anyway, moving on, because I got this list is long. There was one called copper pennies. Does that sound familiar to anyone? It was sliced carrots, onions, green peppers. The stuff I wrote down is just like the very basic ingredients, and then people would take it and then do whatever they wanted with it. And then those were marinated in tomato soup, vinegar, sugar, and oil. I don't remember if I ever tried these, but I might have to try making this at some point. It kind of sounds good. Vinegar, sugar, there you go with the sweet tart thing. It's not that I don't like sweet tart. It's just that the kind of things a lot of people use Miracle Whip on just to me doesn't go. So Sandra says she never heard of that one. Well, it sounded interesting. It makes sense it'd be called copper pennies because of the sliced carrots and then marinated in the tomato soup would probably make it look even more copper. So well, I know you can make your own pudding, but my question is, how do you get the pistachio flavor? Seems to me you wouldn't get as strong a pistachio flavor just throwing a bunch of pistachios in there. So, and I've made my own pudding. I've made, you know, like a vanilla cream pie and chocolate cream pies. Basically pudding and cream pies are the same thing. It's just one's thicker than the other. But my question is, how do you get that pistachio flavor? Besides just chopping up pistachios, I wonder if would that flavor be strong enough? I'm thinking adding an almond extract to the homemade pudding would work. Okay, this one, that's funny that I don't remember this being from the 70s. I thought this got to be big like in the 80s or 90s, and that was the green bean casserole. But maybe it was started in the 70s, which would make sense. And people still make this, and it is still a great one. And that's, here you got your canned soup, cream of mushroom soup. Well, make your own cream of mushroom sauce. You got your green beans, and then you get those French fried onions that you put on top. Now, that I don't mind so much, though some people probably might want to come up with their own option of for French fried onions. But to me, that's something you're sprinkling on top, and it's a once in a while thing. And you can get them at Costco really cheap compared to buying them little cans at the store. You can buy the big old bag at Costco. That's one of the things I could get delivered here. So I have a few bags on hand. Hardly ever use them. But one time last year, when we do big family events, I don't usually make pizza for that. Like when we do our big like family reunion, we'll buy pizza from the local. It's a locally owned take and bake pizza place, and they have really great pizza. But one of the ones, because I was trying to order all the ones plus, well, okay, let me stop. I was trying to order a bunch of different ones I hadn't tried that had no pork on them. So they had like a chicken Alfredo. They had another chicken, like white chicken one. I can't remember what it was. And they were good, but they needed something. And I found I could sprinkle those French fried onions on the top, and that was great. It was perfect. So Costco is a good place to get those if you're going to buy them. But if anybody has any ideas to make their own, because I think there's like a breading on them, and then I don't know that they're really fried. They probably are fried and then dried. I'm kind of wondering how they do that. See, I don't know HP, but it sounds interesting. What's HP? What am I missing? Let me go back up. Is there a pistachio flavored alcoholic drink? See, that's yeah. Also can get pistachio flour. Huh. But see, same thing with like butterscotch pudding. You're going to have artificial flavors and stuff in there. So when I'm looking at these things, I'm thinking, let's see, what is it? Mama Bear says, make a paste with the pistachios and cook that into a pudding is what I'm finding. Okay. I remember the carrots and tomato soup, just didn't call it the same. Yeah, I think a lot of these dishes had different names depending on where you're at. Just like the Watergate salad, some people just knew it as pistachio salad. But of course, it was created at the same time as the whole Watergate scandal. Pimiento. Okay. I didn't realize there was an I in there. See what I know? I never buy pimientos. Pronounced the way, but see if it's a, so it is pronounced the way I pronounce it, but there is an I in there, which would make me think it should be pimiento if it's Italian. That's how it should be pronounced, if that's how it's spelled and is Italian. Okay, let's see. Moving on. Corn pudding. Does anybody remember this? I don't remember this one, but it sounded good. Corn, eggs, milk, sugar, butter. Corn pudding. It sounds kind of gross, but when the whole idea and pictures of it, I'm like, that actually sounds kind of good. But it sounded like it was like whole corn, if I remember. I just put corn. I didn't put cornmeal, so I think it was whole corn. I almost wonder if it sounds like it'd be more like creamed corn by the way it would taste. You would think, right? Grandma did with brown sugar and butter. They were sweet. Okay. Number 10, perfection salad. This is one I don't think I'd be interested in because it was a type of, I didn't write that much down in notes. Perfection salad. It was one of those aspics. It was a specific type of aspic where you had your different layers of stuff in there, though I don't remember what all was in there. Not an aspic person myself. I just think most of them look pretty gross, unless they were a fruity one. That was different, like something with raspberries and pineapple or whatever. Yeah, but not these savory. I'm sorry, just I just think I still think to this day, I don't remember if I ever tried any. I still think they just look disgusting. But if any of you have had aspics or made them and really, really like them, please share with us. I'd be interested to learn. I'm gonna spray a little of my homemade throat spray in there. My throat's starting to get a little itchy and sore. Clearly, I've already talked too long. It's been better though lately. I don't know if you guys have noticed. I haven't had to do that much. Copper pennies is what I was referring to. Oh, carrots, brown sugar, and bread. Okay. Okay. Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm getting lost in the comments and then trying to keep up with this. So anyway, any thoughts on aspics? Throw them in there. So the 11 Harvard beets. It was beets kind of in a similar idea where they were cooked in a sweet and sour fashion. I've had pickled beets, and beets are already kind of sweet, and I like pickled beets, but this was more like a sweet and sour, and it seemed like the sauce was thicker. So when you say I love those, are you talking about the Harvard beets? See, question. I just bought a bunch of Atlas Mason jar at the repurposed Costco jars. Can I can these with these? I'm gonna say yes, but I know that will ruffle feathers, but I know people that do that. They're made for canning in, and especially if your canning lids will fit on them. I think not all of them, but most of those, because I've ended up with some because I've never bought. I haven't bought like any kind of pasta sauce and oh gosh, I don't know, many years. But I've ended up with those jars. I don't think I've canned with them, but I know that the ones I have like regular mouth uh, tops to them. So Linda also says, I adore Harvard beets. I thought they sounded good because I do like beets and I like pickled beets. And so I thought this sounded really good, but I'd be afraid to eat it because, well, okay, if I was to eat them, I better get a tarp to throw over myself because it's inevitable I will get it on my clothes. Because it is dark in color. All right. Number 12, spinach souffle. I thought this was kind of interesting because it sounded and looked very much like a quiche because it's got eggs and spinach and the cheese. But I think the main difference is the spinach souffle was made without the crust like you would for a quiche, because quiche is typically made in a pie crust. I need to make um, quiche again sometime. I love it. The cheese, the spinach, the eggs in a pie crust. Patrick, to him, he didn't really like it as a dinner. I did make it once for dinner, and he said it was good. He just I never made it again because I won't think to make something like this for breakfast. The reason he didn't like it is he's the that kind of person that he doesn't like eating breakfast for dinner. And to him, it was too much like a breakfast meal. So yeah. Anyway, that's what it sounded like to me. Anyway, spinach souffle sounded very much like quiche without a crust. Let's see. Then there was a carrot ring. This was one I'd never heard of, which involves pureed carrots baked in a bundt cake pan. So you have the ring, and often the center of it. So I don't know what else was added to the pureed carrots. I just kind of threw some quick notes down, hoping people would kind of throw some ideas in there. But remember, one of the things too is you can look all these up. You can find recipes for any of these, I'm sure. If nothing else, you can find images. But they would bake this carrot puree that I don't know what else they added to it. I'm sure there was more than just pureed carrots that were baked. And then after it was done, they'd fill the center of it, they'd dump it out and then they'd fill the center of it with peas, which to me didn't look really pretty. I think I would fill the center of it with something else. But the carrot ring itself actually sounded good. So souffle, you hold the whites back and beat them into a meringue. I've never made a souffle. That would make sense though, because I know souffles are usually fluffier. But the basic ingredients just to me sounded more like it would taste like quiche. So, okay, another one, what was another aspic, and it was like another specific aspic called tomato aspic, which I believe was made with like tomato soup or tomato juice. Again, not really my thing. Succotash. So this would be corn, beans, and other vegetables. I think the main focus was the corn and sautéed in butter and cream. I've never had succotash, and here's something interesting that it was so interesting that I had just wrote this down. What I didn't know is that it was a traditional Native American dish, and I was watching on the Life podcast. I don't know if anyone has seen that, and this Native American couple was being interviewed. Oh, they were such great people. They were so fun. They're the kind of people I just love to hang out with. They had such a great sense of humor, and you could tell just fun people. But they were talking about how a lot of things like keeping the feasts and some of these different things that they're in their native traditions through the centuries. These were things they did, and this couple didn't even realize hey, these were biblical things we were doing. And that the Succotash, Sukkot, there's it was made at that time of year of the Feast of Tabernacles. So I thought that was really, really cool. So now I'm gonna have to learn how to make succotash, and then I'll make that for the next Sukkot or the next Feast of Tabernacles. I think that'd be super cool. But anyway, for any of you who are interested in that kind of thing, if you go watch that interview that Luke did with them, it was really, really interesting, and like I said, fun. I love these people. I would love to meet these people in real life. There's lots of ads. Oh, coming over the chat. Yeah, I've had people, I never see them. I wonder if it's because I turn off the ads that interrupt the live, so they throw them into the chat. I've never seen that before. I haven't been in a live chat in a while though either on anyone else, and they don't show on my end. So sorry about that. I don't know that there's any way I can turn that off. Let me look here. I see nothing. Nothing about that. Figures. Anyway, let's see, what else do we have? Oh, this is the one I brought up last week, and I was like, I don't remember this one. It's called scalloped tomatoes, and it was tomatoes with breadcrumbs. What did I write here? Good gravy. I can't read my writing. I wonder if that's supposed to say spices, and I left the S off the start of it. Spices and seasonings. Well, yeah, spices, seasonings, same thing. And that's another one I thought sounded interesting. So I was wondering if anyone has tried that. Let's see. Oh, you can X out of the ads. Well, that's cool. Okay. Well, I'm glad at least you guys are able to do that, but that's irritating. I'm pretty sure I've had this or something like it, and that's the broccoli rice casserole. So cheese, cream of mushroom soup, remember that you can make yourself, um, topped with crushed crackers to give it a nice little crunch. So I thought that sounded pretty yummy. Let's see, now we're to 23. Uh, pickled beet eggs. Now, I've done something like similar to this where I've made beet kvass, and then I took the kvass and fermented some hard boiled eggs in it. It's pretty much the same thing. Um, but yeah, I like it. And it's really cool because it gives the hard-boiled eggs are really beautiful color. They're like this deep burgundy color on the outside. Some of the color seeps down even a little bit into the yolk, but most of it is on the outside and some into the white. So, mom made that broccoli casserole. See, Jen says, I've found when you search these vintage recipes, use the term first edition. With so many recipes on the World Wide Web, it's hard to find the originals. Good tip there. Very good tip. That first edition, or maybe even original edition. That's a good idea because yes, a lot of these people have taken them and just gone a billion different ways with them. But then again, yeah, see, that's me. I'd want to know, okay, what exactly was the original recipe? Then take that and add my own things to it rather than taking somebody else's own additions of it. And then, yeah, not that I don't mind getting other ideas, but I'd still like to start with the basic, authentic or original form of the recipe. Okay, we've got a few more. So number 24 is 7-layer salad. Let's see. So typically I think that's what I used in the thumbnail. It was a picture of the 7-layer. I took a couple of different images and made thumbnails, but so you had your lettuce, onion, so you layered this. Usually in a glass bowl so you could see it from the outside because that's what made it look so pretty. So you'd layer it so that the colors would really stand out. And so you wouldn't want to layer it so the same colors are right next to each other. So you'd have lettuce, onions. I think throwing like red onions in there would be good because then you get that purple in there. Peas, tomatoes, obviously fresh tomatoes, cheese, mayonnaise, and it says bacon, but for those of you who are pork free, I'd use just the Painted Hills classic beef bacon would be my choice. Some people might want to go with turkey bacon, but I think that sounds good. I'm sure I've had 7-layer salad before, but man, some of this stuff I don't remember or it's been so long. This next one, number 25, I'm pretty sure I've had this because it seems like I really liked it. That was creamed onion. So you use the pearl onions in a white sauce. So that sounds good. So E. Townsend says that's my favorite salad. So the 7 layers. Fancy LOL looking at the layers. Yeah. Yeah. So that could be a really good one to take to an event, so you have something pretty or make for a family event. 2 more. So these were the ones that took it to 26 and 27, and that was marinated mushrooms. And it seemed like it was more specific, but I love marinating fresh mushrooms in homemade wine and butter, and then throwing in some onion and garlic. Oh my goodness. So simple and so good. But it seemed like I slice my mushrooms. It seems like the one they were showing in the picture. So it's hard to tell how many of these pictures they use in these AI videos are actually real because a lot of them don't even match up with what they're talking about. It makes no sense. And anyway, they were using whole mushrooms. So there might be something more specific about it, but yeah, I love marinated or sauteed mushrooms. Let's see. What does this even say? My last one. I can't even read it. Oh my goodness. Oh, okay. It says Don't laugh at me. Only I can laugh at me. Anyway, glorified rice. So this would be a sweet dish. So it sounds to me like it tastes more like a rice pudding. So it's cooked rice with fruit and whipped cream. They actually said whipped cream and not Cool Whip. I was surprised. So, yeah. Patrick's here making noise. Thinking he must be going to the dump or something. So let me spray my throat again. I got another topic I'm going to try to cover today. Because it's been kind of harder for me in the mornings because I got to make sure I shower, get my hair dry. And, I never blow dry my hair ever, but it takes a long time to dry because there's a bunch of it there. And so I want my hair to be dry before I shoot my videos. And if it's a day Jace is here, then I have to do it early. So I thought, I probably should start doing this when I do my lives. Just try to do 2 topics at a time to give me that second video. Whoop, there went my pencil. I sure hope I don't need it. But anyway, that was the 2770 side dishes. I want to do more of these because this is fun. This is a good way to add more spice to our meals, or just being reminded of things that maybe we haven't had in a long time or we've never made. And yeah, or we can just make things more interesting. And so I could do like main dishes, doesn't have to be 70s. I think they have ones on like 60s and 50s, and things about desserts and main dishes and whatnot. So I would like to do more of these because it's fun. To me, it's fun. Real butter will make everything taste better. There you go. I know I've shared about how when I was a kid, mom, she always had her um, there I go again. The fake butter. It starts with an M. Margarine. So I was practically raised on margarine, but the first time I was 6 years old when the first time I remember tasting real butter, and I could not get enough of it. So when I was an adult and out of the home, actually I still, because margarine was so much cheaper, I really wanted to buy real butter, but margarine was so much cheaper, and I go to the store, I'm like, man, I really want to buy that real butter, but I can't afford it. So that, it's a thing. And then finally you have to say, you know what? It's better. It's just better all the way around. I think it's worth the cost, especially when you start realizing how bad for you margarine really was. But anyway, once I made that change to real butter in my early adulthood, I never ever went back to margarine. Just the thought of it sounds disgusting to me now. And it surprises me that some people still use margarine to this day. I think some people think that country crock is actually real butter. Is it the country crock? There's a couple different ones that come in a tub that are actually margarine and not butter. But anyway, so, okay, that was it for that. Okay, I don't want to throw that list out. I'm going to need to remember it so I can start introducing a few more side dishes to my list of things. Okay, the next topic I wanted to go over was about the benefits of barley. So last week I was talking about my favorite grains that I like to stock up on for making breads, and barley is one of them. And I thought, ooh, this would be a good one because I'm talking about how barley and wheat, barley does have gluten in it. I should say that right off the top, but they both have their own benefits. They're going to have a little bit different nutrient types of nutrients in them, or amounts of the different nutrients. And this is another reason why I like blending the two. Now, before I get into the benefits of barley, I will say I have made barley bread before with just barley, no wheat. And personally, it was okay, but I didn't like it as much as the blend of the hard white wheat with the barley. They just seem to complement each other just perfectly for bread making, and or anything else for that matter, making pie crusts or biscuits and whatnot, because barley is the softer grain and hard white wheat is obviously the harder grain. But let me go ahead. I'm going to need my glasses because my eyes are I think these lights here don't help. They always make it harder for me to read stuff. Well, maybe I can do it without my glasses because I know it makes a shine, a glare. So let me read off some of the nutrients you're going to find in barley if you're thinking about introducing another type of grain to your diet. And then we'll talk about some of the uses. To me, barley has a little bit more, not that you can't use wheat all the same way, but barley is just its own kind of unique thing. So it is rich in nutrients, and it's going to have fiber and protein, potassium, magnesium, and manganese, phosphorus, selenium, zinc, and back to the selenium in particular, that means it's going to be very good for thyroid health. Anything that's got a good amount of selenium in it, like your Brazil nuts and your egg yolks, excellent to help with low functioning thyroid. Well, it's good for your thyroid health all the way around, even if it's Hashimoto's or hyperthyroidism. It's just very nourishing to your thyroid gland. Um, let's see. So I don't know if I said amino acids, but and then you have just a lot of antioxidants in there, and then you have your vitamins A, E, K, and a whole bunch of your B vitamins. I didn't even list them all off because I would say it's a good source of a B complex, your barley. Starts with a B too. Let's see. As far as the health benefits, barley is good at helping to reduce hunger and thus contributing to weight loss or just weight management. It is also good at improving your digestion. It can prevent gallstones and thus prevent having to have gallbladder surgery. It can help to lower cholesterol if you have, even though I believe that both LDL and HDL are good cholesterols, our body needs both to function properly. We can get things out of balance. So eating the right foods can help bring it all into balance. You don't have to go on a medication to balance it out. You just got to eat the right foods. It also can help reduce the risk of heart disease, protect against diabetes. I thought this was really cool when, especially when you consider the fact that, and that's because a lot of the nutrients that are in there, when, we think diabetes or we think of, well, just anything like that, where you're going to have carbs and carbs are the enemy to all things. Barley can be helpful for diabetes. And so I believe in the video I did a couple of years ago, maybe on herbs and foods to help with diabetes. It seems I remember that barley was one of those. So if you're diabetic and you're looking for a good grain, a good carb to add, go with the barley. You may have to cut out white rice, but barley could be a good substitute. Personally, is there's certain rice dishes I wouldn't want to substitute barley, for the rice. But if that's what you have to do, it can work and it can be a very good option. So it can also help prevent colon cancer. That would be due to the high fiber content. It can protect against stroke. So I mean, it's good for your brain health too, right? Um, it's beneficial to your skin health. And I'm talking about internally, not about necessarily making a mask out of it, though I'm sure you could, cook it up and make a mask. That'd be kind of interesting. But anyway, yes, good for your skin health, especially for aging skin. Now this is something I hadn't heard of before. Maybe some of you have, but it was called baker's asthma. I guess it's called baker's asthma because it's something that bakers tend to have an issue with. I'm assuming this is professional bakers, probably because maybe they're breathing in a lot of stuff they shouldn't be breathing in, or flowers flying. I mean, if they're in my kitchen, they'd probably be getting, when I'm making my bread and stuff, they'd probably be getting baker's asthma if that's the case. Flour goes everywhere. Oh, I'm better than I used to be, but anyway, so it can help prevent baker's asthma. So I thought that was interesting. So using barley can help with that. I would assume it's not just about the breathing the barley in, but as far as like just eating the barley can help prevent that, which I think was an interesting thing. It also can help boost immunity and beneficial during pregnancy to not only add more nutrients, but also to help ease morning sickness. And in that case, how it'd be used would be you'd be making like a barley water. Now I'm not really sure, they didn't say, the site I was reading this on didn't say how you do it. I don't know if it'd be like cooking the barley and then maybe blending it up in the water, or if it'd just be simply soaking barley in water and then having the water basically be infused by the barley. It seems to me you'd want the barley to be at least cracked or something. And by the way, I'm talking specifically about hulled barley. So there's two types of barley. There's the hulled, that you can buy, and then there's the pearled. And until this, I didn't know what the difference was. Well, hulled barley means you're just removing that outer hull, just that. But pearled barley takes a little bit farther and is taking off the outer layer of the barley. Well, if you do that, I mean, both can have similar, nutrients and benefits, but by going with pearled, you're taking off a little bit more of what could be some of those great nutrients that your body really needs. So I would say the hulls are, from what I read, pretty much inedible. They're probably too tough, is my guess. Like like buckwheat, maybe you can eat buckwheat hulls, but I'm guessing it's probably because they're tough on the barley. I don't know. I've never bought barley that wasn't hulled. But anyway, let's talk a little bit about some uses, and maybe some people can add in some more ideas on uses in comments, or if you're watching live in the live chat, or yeah, wherever. So obviously using the barley flour for making breads, cookies, anything that you're going to use flour in, you could use your barley flour. Just remember that barley flour on its own can be a little heavier and drier. It is good to mix it with some other types of flours. But whole, you can use it, you can cook it up, you can use it in soups. One of my favorite soups mom used to get when I was a kid, my favorite canned soups, because mom didn't make a whole lot of soup. She did a lot of stuff mom did was from a can or a box. But beef barley soup. And I always forget about this. I have made beef barley soup, but I'm like, why do I always forget about the barley? Because as a kid, I loved beef barley. It was one of my very favorite soups. And so, yeah, it cooks up nice, and just adds a nice flavor and texture to your soups. But you could also use it for making stuffings. Now, I have often made wild rice stuffings, but I've decided the next time I do do my regular stuffing for my turkey or chicken, I'm going to do half of the wild rice and half barley and try that, because I think that would be really, really good. And then what does this say? Yes, I'm glad spinster wife brought that up too. We might need to mix barley with our flour, like Heidi said. What was that? Let me scroll up and read that. Where is that? Um, Barley bread was a poor man. Yeah, exactly. Bread during biblical times provided a lot of nutrition. Right. I seen that on another. I think it was another AI video, if I remember correctly, but it was months ago. But it was talking about medieval times, and barley was the main crop that was used just by poor people. It was easy to grow. I think it grows a lot and matures faster than wheat. And but yeah, it talked about how it tended to be, the bread would be heavier, more dense using the barley. So yeah, and I was gonna, I just remembered again. I was gonna try planting barley this year. That was my plan, was to plant some and see if how well it would grow for me here. I mean, I got the einkorn wheat to grow, but I'd like to try growing barley just to see how well it would do for us in our very, very, very wet climate. So yeah, soup, stuffings, breads, um, or even cooked just as is, cook it up and use it as a hot cereal. I can see that for certain. I mean, a lot of times when I have, or even a cold cereal for that matter, because a lot of times when I have leftover white rice from something I've made, Patrick will eat the rest of it in the morning with some milk and cinnamon sugar. He loves it. Um, sorry, this could be important. Sorry, people. Let me reply to this. But see, Okay, sorry about that. Sorry about that. I need to reply to that. It was an important question. Um, so let me see. That was all I had to say. So let me see if there's any other interesting things. Um, if barley helps with pregnancy, I wonder if it helps with menopause as well due to hormone changes. That's a good question, Sandra. I would wonder that too. I mean, I've been incorporating the barley into my breads for a while, and I think that along with the nori, I've noticed that my hot flashes have decreased incredibly, especially with the addition of the nori. Remember how I was reading that testimonial? Oh my goodness, I haven't done another one of those videos in a while. I need to do I think my next one should be a preparedness testimonies video. I need to see what I have, if I have enough to do a video on that. But um, that one lady was talking about how the nori just kind of basically did away with all her hot flashes and all that. And I've noticed that I hardly have them now. I eat nori every day. I make sure I get some every day. And I don't know, maybe the barley could have helped some too, but I can't say for certain because I've been using it for quite a while. But, definitely a nori. And really, if you don't like nori or seaweed or anything like that, I think what it's really all about is the types of nutrients that are in there. And I think getting a lot of your minerals that you may not be getting, like, I think it could be the iodine, because that's one that, unless you're taking an iodine supplement, which I cannot do, I can only get it in a more natural form like that. Um, it's I just don't think there's as many foods out there that have iodine in them. I mean, we've got the seaweeds, it doesn't have to be nori, it can be kelp, which I personally don't care for the flavor of, but there's all types of seaweeds out there. But you could also take them in a supplement form if you don't like the flavor. So that'd be something too. But the question about the barley helping with menopause is definitely a good one, and one that maybe I should look into, or maybe somebody else can look into, because I might forget. But yeah, so I'm glad you brought that up so I could throw in that little tip about the nori and how helpful that has been. So let me double check. I think she replied. I gotta keep up on this. Let's see. Okay. Um. Anyway, let me see. Was that it? I think that was it. So yeah, so if you're watching this in replay, or you're watching the version of that I make of this separately, please put your thoughts and ideas in the comments below the video on the whole, barley, how you use it, what are some different ways you incorporate it, whether it be whole or ground, whatever, into your diet, and has it helped you with any of these things I listed, or maybe something else that I didn't come across. So, yeah. And I think that the more we learn about the different foods that even the foods that we like and already grow, maybe learn more about those and how they can help us in various things. Because sometimes we grow foods, or we buy different things, like me buying the barley because we like it, or we like the way it makes our bread taste or whatever. And sometimes don't stop and think, we know, okay, this is healthier because it's natural, but we don't take the time to stop. I say we because this is me. Unless I'm shooting a video and I'm like, "Oh, here's a good idea." And this is one of the great things about me doing these kind of videos, is they force me to look into this stuff and learn more about it, and then I start thinking, "Oh, I need to try this for this, that, or the other thing." And then, you know, you can figure out how these things can benefit yourself or your family, and decide whether or not it's something you want to grow, or grow more of, or incorporate more of into your regular diet in various different ways, which is also why having the different ways that you can use things and different ideas is very helpful. Let's see. Linda says, I put pearl barley in my beef vegetable soup. Let's see. I wonder if wild yam helps. I've heard people say wild yam helps. I have some wild yam capsules, and that I bought years ago, and they didn't seem to do anything for me. I just was trying it, but I didn't stick with it. I kept forgetting I had it, but I never noticed any difference. But I know for me, the nori has definitely helped a lot. So that tells me that there were definitely some minerals I was not getting enough of. So I really believe that a lot of our menopausal symptoms are more because you used to, I remember as a kid, I never heard about all this horrible menopause stuff. And it seems like the list of symptoms gets longer every year. And I remember thinking all it was, you just stopped having your monthly cycle, and it was as simple as that. Even watching Little House on the Prairie, when um, Carolyn, whatever, when she stopped and she thought she was expecting at first and then realized she just stopped having her cycles altogether. Well, she actually thought she was pregnant. And there was no talk of symptoms or signs. I know that's just a TV show, but I never heard of that as a kid. So I've been wondering for years if a lot of the symptoms that we experience going through that time are a result of us missing nutrients that our body really needs while while our body is adjusting to not having so much estrogen and whatnot, to the different hormonal changes. And so that just would make perfect sense to me. And if we're not getting enough iodine or other types of minerals or other types of nutrients, it would just make perfect sense. So, I mean, they say they still don't understand what causes hot flashes. I know that some people, I've read this, and this kind of makes sense that, when you're having your monthly cycle, you're also flushing out a lot of your toxins that way. But when you stop having that cycle, where are they going to go? So the hot flash is thought to flush out toxins through sweat, because that is also how our body eliminates toxins, is through our sweat, through all different ways, right? Anything that's going to come out of the body, that's how we get rid of toxins. So I thought that was a good thought, but the reason I say it doesn't really make sense is because, well, what about when you finally stop having the hot flashes at some point? Or what about when you're a young girl before you start having a cycle and you don't do that? I mean, what that's the only way that it doesn't make sense. And then what about men? Well, you could say, well, men sweat all the time, maybe. They sweat a lot more naturally than women, and maybe that's why. But I think there's more to it than just the flushing out the toxins. Yeah, it probably does, but because just sweating will do that. But let's see, my mother never talked about anything with me. Oh, let's see, when we were kids, though, most adults didn't talk. And yes, and that thought crossed my mind, but my mom talked about everything with me, everything. So I think I would have heard about that from her. Then again, she had a full hysterectomy at a rather young age. I think she was probably in her 30s. So she never would have really gone through that. But or do you? I don't know. Maybe anyone who's had a hysterectomy can share that. Um, so maybe that's why she didn't, because I don't recall her ever dealing with hot flashes or anything like that. So, but that is a good point. There was a lot of things that people weren't so open about. Now, there's a lot of things that I wish people still weren't so open about. The things people talk about online just blows me away. Yes, you will still have issues after hysterectomy. See, it would make sense to me that you would, because it all has to do with your body, no longer, producing that estrogen. Sorry. Throat's really itchy today. It's been a lot better for certain. I think that using of course, I haven't done this as much lately because I keep forgetting. But remember, so my video that came out the other day, I was talking about the castor oil and the mixed with the black seed oil. I've been putting a couple of drops of that in my throat, And that seems to really be helping. I just need to remember to do it. Sometimes I'll be doing something like, oh, this is working. And then all of a sudden I forget. It seems like if I forget one day, then I forget the next and the next. And then all of a sudden I'm like, oh, I haven't been doing this. Let's see. I had a hysterectomy at 33 because of a tumor, horrible hot flashes for a year. Okay. See, and I thought I know of someone, a couple other people said the same thing. But my mom never talked about that back then. So at least I don't remember. Maybe I just don't remember. Maybe I chose to block it out. Maybe I didn't want to think about those kind of things. I'll deal with it when I get there. I don't know. Let's see. Sandra says, I still have ovaries. Symptoms started 10 years after hysterectomy. Interesting. Well, yeah, because of the ovaries, right. I think mom still had her ovaries because I remember she said she would still have. This is why I do remember her telling me, because she would still have times in the month where she would have those symptoms like PMS or whatever. And she figured that must be because she still had her ovaries. So she would probably be getting ready to have her cycle. That was her guess. So, and think she was saying that, she was telling me that in her 40s. So I had a hysterectomy at 30. Okay, I read that one. Let's see. Deb says, I had a total hysterectomy at 34, went through menopause really young because of it. That I've heard that. Yeah. Because, yeah, the more I think about it, I know someone locally who said that same thing. This person's 10 years younger than me, and they had already been through all that. And I'm like, oh, that's interesting. But that's because they had to have a hysterectomy. So anyway, hey, no Tyler today. Huh. No, Tyler. He came in really late last time and ran everybody off, and now he didn't even bother show up at all. And I got to get going. I got stuff to do, man, and I know you people got stuff to do. So anyway, well, I hope everybody had a good time in the chat today. I know I did. I always do. I love your guys' company, even if it's just through text. It is just so much fun to get your input too about some of these interesting topics, be they serious or fun or whatever. But but also just the chance to actually more directly interact with y'all is just really great. I enjoy it so much. It's always hard for me to get off of here because I enjoy it so much, even though it's mostly just me doing a monologue. So oh, well, your first live with, oh, I'm glad that you enjoyed it. Oh, very good. Very good. Thank you. So anyway, yeah, I should get going, and let you guys get going so you can go get all your stuff done for the weekend. Maybe enjoy your weekend. So again, thank you everyone. Hope you have a great weekend or a great rest of your week whenever you're watching this. And thanks for watching. Take care and God bless. Bye.